How difficult was it to do that with the weather? It was cold and windy on race day.
It was difficult. At first, I forgot my watch because I forgot my watch and there was no split until the past 2 mile. And when I looked at the first 2 mile was 9:30. So in my calculation, that was 4:45 base. And I knew we were really off the pace. And coming up the 2 mile, there's a nice downhill. And that's when I started pushing. I think the next mile was like around 4:18 and went through 5K 14:39. So I knew I needed to just keep pressing and pressing and pressing. And luckily enough, I kept pressing it. And I was glad to come up with the American record.
With a mile to go, were you aware of sort of like what time you needed to run, like the final 100, or you just kind of freaking out? Like,
I was aware at the last 2 mile because I looked at they had a time for the 8 mile, and I knew I needed to run at least 4:45 to make the record. But then the wind was too strong, and I could feel that we were running close to 5 minutes. So in my mind, I was waiting for the 9 mile mark, but apparently the 9 mile mark was blown away by the wind. So by the time I was looking for, was like, oh, it's 15K. There's 1K to go. And by 10, I was just like, okay, it's just time to push and see if I'll be lucky.
Tell us a little bit about the race and how long you were targeting this record.
Last year I ran the USATF 10-miler, and when I ran 46:06, my coach told me that's not gonna be an American record. So we kind of cycled, like looked at what's gonna be the next, and we knew Cherry Blossom is gonna be a good race if the weather was good. So we've been planning it since November last year.
And how did you end up running that race, the 10-mile champs last fall?
Last fall, so I was getting ready for the Diamond League final, right? After the Worlds. And then I went to California we had something to do with Oka. Oka was shooting some stuff. And when I get back, I was supposed to fly to Europe like 4 days later. But when I got back, I got really sick and I had a virus. And I was told I was not supposed to fly within the next 7 days. So I quarantined myself for the next 7 days. And after that, I had a talk with coach, and coach told me, there's no way I could do the finals because the final was within 2 weeks time. And we kind of decided to just look at the schedule and see what was on the schedule. And we saw the 10-mile was 4 weeks later. And that time, Shadrach was getting ready for the New York Marathon. So that was really easy for me because I had to help Shadrach with the training. And that's how I decided to run the 10-mile last year.
That's crazy. So you've become a really good road runner almost by accident. Just being a pacer for Shadrach.
Very much, very much. I did a 15K last year. I finished that in February, I think March last year. And it felt really, really, really comfortable running the 15K. And, I've been doing track for quite a while now. So it has been in my back of my mind, like I need to start doing these road races and see how I feel and if I'll be able to, transition to road racing in the next few years.
On our Supporters Club podcast, we picked the men's Olympic team this past weekend. And then we're like, could Hillary move up to the marathon by the Olympics? Like, what are your thoughts about the steeplechase?
Our plan is just to finish up the next 2 years on the track. So I plan to continue. So right now I've been accepted to Rabat and Paris. So now I'm just going to transition to track. I might do the sound running just to open up because I've been doing a lot of road racing of late. So I just need a new to test out the steeple and sound running, and then Rabat and Paris, and just get ready for the wars.
So is there any chance you could do the Olympic marathon trials in 2024? Because I was thinking of Stanley Cabene, who he was a world championship finalist in 2019, and then he runs the Olympic trials in the marathon the next year. Is there any chance you could do that, or that's totally off the table?
No, it's totally off the table. I mean, I can't take that risk because marathon distance itself it's a long way. You can't take that risk. My plan is to just transitions after the Olympics. If I made the Olympic team, that would be good. But my plan is just move to the roles after the Olympics.
My brother's not on this podcast, but earlier we were talking, and he was like, "Oh, if Hillary doesn't do the Olympic trials, he still should do the New York City Marathon." He was saying this fall, because they're going to be all the marathoners will be focused on the trials, and they're going to need Americans to run it, so they'll pay you a bunch of money. So if you want to make a bunch of money, you should run New York City Marathon this November.
I really respect the distance. My uncle, I was talking to my uncle back in Kenya. He's really a good coach, and he coaches a lot of marathoners. I was like, in order to get really ready for the marathon, you don't want to just go in blindsided, because if you have a bad marathon, bad marathon, it might discourage you. So I really need time to get ready for that before I take that risk.
You're in a big running family. Both your brothers, went to college here. Or how many brothers do you have? I know you have 2 who ran in college here.
I have 5. My older brother actually ran at 2:11 back in 2004. He has a 2:11, and then that's the only guy who has run marathon. But based on the training, if you look at my training, actually my the last 5 years, I train mostly with the marathoners. So I'm more of a strength guy rather than a speed guy. So I think I'll be able to transition well when the time comes.
But in terms of the track, the steeplechase, 8:08 PB, I want to see an American go under that 8-minute barrier. Is that still something you think is a possibility for you? Like, how fast do you think you run in the steeple?
I think that's a possibility. I've been talking with coach about it, and we think we can get close to that. Last year, for sure, I was in really good shape, but I feel like this year I have more strength than last year, of which it's normally coming from a strength background. I think I'm more stronger than last year, so it's a matter of getting a good race and see what I can do.
The world record has stood, I think, since 2004 or something. It's almost 20 years at this point with Shaheen. Do you think the world record could be in danger with how well they've been running the last couple of years?
Yes, I do. Especially Lemenya Kirma. I think he has a chance to break the world record. So the problem now, if you look at the way they used to break the world record, he had at least 4 strong guys pushing themselves until the last 800 or 100, 400 meters. You don't see that nowadays. So you just they need to get a better best setters, and to be able, both of them needs to run in order to push themselves to get that world record.
Maybe you could be a pace setter. I mean, I still want you to break 8, but they need someone of your caliber to pace, right? And they probably pace pretty well. Would you consider that or not?
I won't say no if the opportunity comes that, but again, I want to run close to that 8-minute mark. So that's my plan right now.
Turning to this, we were talking about beforehand. I'm like, did you really pole vault in high school?
Yes, actually, I did ball foot, long jump, I did triple jump. So that was my 3 main events when I was in high school.
When did you transition to running?
Actually, my senior year in high school, just because I was told in order to get a scholarship, you need to focus on running.
And you were saying the pole vault, like, it wasn't a flexible pole. Is it made out of wood? What's it made out of? Metal? Like, how do they do it in Kenya?
It's just, most of them is just made of a hood. So they cut the hood and just let it dry for like a week or so before the event, which is risky. Sometimes the hood can break, but that's how we do it.
And what do you and you don't like land on your back because is there a pit? What do you land into?
It's just they dig the floor, make it like soft, and that's how you land on it.
It's crazy.
So just dirt, basically.
Yes.
And how high did you go?
I don't remember how high I did, but I remember my high jump was. I did high jump too. I remember my high jump was around 1.8, and my long jump was 7 meters, so about 24.
What? Isn't that really good?
Yeah, it's good.
Wow.
7 meters is great. I mean, he would be better than pretty much any woman in the entire world. Like a lot of high schoolers or college guys would be happy with 7 meters. Like 7 meters, I feel like if you're jumping 7 meters, there are some D1 teams you could do that for, right?
I think so. Yeah. And I guess that's why I explained the reason why when I do the water bit, I really have a good water bit, just because I came from the background of doing the long jump and all this.
You're the most versatile runner I think we've ever met. So you need to go sub 8, break the US half marathon record. That one's been there a long time too. And then run a really fast marathon as well.
Yeah. I think that's within reach for sure. And we've been looking at Valencia for quite a while. And depending on how this year or next year, we might go to Valencia and try to get it.
Oh, Valencia half.
Yeah, yeah. And my brother he's really a good road runner right now. And we've been talking like we both of us need to go to Valencia and try to push together.
It's amazing also that you started out like legit full-fledged regular Army for 4 years and were able to get to this level. So, I mean, that's a testament to you and the Army for making that possible.
I always tell people, like, if I didn't join the Army, when I finished my last race in NC, I think I was like 12 or second last. And in my mind, I was like, that's my last race. I'm not going to run again. Then when I joined the military, I was really lucky enough to be stationed here in Colorado Springs. And when I got stationed here, I found out Scott Simon and the ADB American Distance Group. And so I trained with them bad time over the weekend. But my unit, my leadership was really nice. So I was given time to just train in the morning, running at 5 a.m. before I go to work at 9. And that's how I got back to running. And that led me to making the 2016 Olympic team. So
that's crazy. That's like the American dream. I didn't realize that it's pretty much almost like blind luck that you kept running. Yeah, when you graduated Iowa State, like what were your PBs? What was your best place at NCAs?
I was second. Was my best place. I was that second, fourth, and then I think 11 my last year, and 832 between 832 to 838 for like 8 years straight from 2007, 2008. I mean to 2015. I never broke an 832 hours. Every time I race was like 832, 833. So my breakthrough was 2016.
What happened that year? What was different?
It was just, I think it was just like being able to train with the ATB since 2013, 2014, 2015. So I was getting stronger and stronger. I think just working on my strength and just 3 years of the same training over and over just led me to have that breakout. And if you look at my 15K, I ran 15K 2016 actually. I ran like 47. And so 5 years later, I'll be able to run 43. So it's just a matter of consistency and just putting in work year after year and after year.